Hello, everyone, and welcome to this special recorded webinar, Defining the Differentiators. We're going to go ahead and jump right in. As a reminder, we always recommend or encourage you guys to connect with us. If you have any questions along the way, feel free to drop us an email at info@ubtecheducation.com. Always feel free to tag us and visit our social media at UBTECH EDU. And of course, if you haven't done so already, please visit our website at ubtecheducation.com. Great. So in this special webinar, we're going to do some really fun stuff. First, we're going to introduce you guys and remind you who we are as a company. Then we're going to dive directly into the UKITs and explore three key areas. First, we're going to look at the hardware and what sets us apart. Then we're going to switch gears and look at our software and some key areas there. And finally, we're going to wrap it up by analyzing and looking at an overview of our curriculum. Then stay tuned because we are going to introduce what we're going to be talking about next month. As a reminder, just introduce you guys to who I am and also my colleague, Kristina, on the other side of the screen. My name's Rusty and I lead our professional services department as the education product manager. My email is on the screen, and also this great image is my LinkedIn profile picture. So I always encourage you guys to find and connect with me on LinkedIn.
And my name is Kristina Davis, educational specialist. Email also on the screen, and you can follow me on Twitter or LinkedIn. My picture is not the same. I have no idea what hair color is in the pictures. That was the other one.
She's always changing hair color. So.
Always changing. Yeah. So I'm going to share with you a little bit about who UBTECH is and UBTECH Education. So our parent company is a world leader in robotics and AI, where you can see some pretty awesome robots there. We've got humanoid robots. We've got very advanced AI robots that can help walk you around a mall if you needed to. And then we've got UVC disinfecting robots. So our parent company takes all of that tech and brings it down to the education side. So on the next slide, you're going to see some of our robots that we have at UBTECH Education and that you can build with our kits. So we're a division of UBTECH, and we are passionate about preparing all learners for the future. We want kids to be successful adults as they grow up, right? And as they get out of school, and we want to help guide them through engineering and STEM and all things robots. So we're going to talk to you about, like Rusty said, three different parts today. What kind of sets UBTECH apart in terms of hardware, in terms of software, and in terms of curriculum. We're not going to do a big comparison of how we differ compared to specific competitors. So we're just going to tell you some points on what we think sets us apart, and then you'll have to make those comparisons on your own with the ones that you're familiar with. So we're going to start off with hardware. We're going to talk about hardware. So at UBTECH, we have a continuum and alignment of three different kits. We start with the orange-yellow colored kit on the left as the UKIT beginner. It's just your basic building pieces. So ours are a plastic building piece set. Is an engineering kit. You do have to build it before you can play with it. And then moving up to the UKIT intermediate, you get some more pieces. In addition to more building pieces, you get a Bluetooth speaker, you get an IR sensor, and you get some LED lights, just some extra fun things. They make little eyes, lots of fun builds from there. And then, go ahead.
and a touch sensor, which is one of my favorite components.
Oh, yes. Thank you. Thank you. I did forget that. Yes. And not only just regular touch, but three different ways that you can touch that sensor. So that makes it a little more advanced than the beginner set. Then we go up to our gray kit, which is our UKIT Advanced. This one spans middle school and up, just kind of depending on where your students are. And we'll talk about all the differences there, but a lot more pieces, like double the pieces of what's in the intermediate set. Plus we switch now to an Arduino board, which then gives us a whole circuitry set with a breadboard, way more servos, just a ton of stuff that you can do with this kit.
Yeah, there's a ton you can do with UKIT Advanced. It's a great kit that has just, I mean, endless possibilities.
Yes. This is a great little graphic just of our computer science progression. So you can see along the top the different things that we offer. So we have pose, record, play, which Rusty's going to touch on later. That's with the UKIT beginner and intermediate. We have teleoperations, so like joysticks, right? Making your own joystick. That's also with the app-based kits. Block-based coding, so all of our kits use block-based coding with text preview in different ways. So the UKIT Intermediate and Beginner have text preview in Python, which you can see, but you can't do anything with. And then the advanced, we switched over to C++, and then you can use Arduino IDE, and you can do all sorts of text-based coding there. You can see the intermediate and advanced have our sensor integrations, some of those sensors we talked about. And then advanced takes it to the next level with our browser-based programming where you can do open source and text-based coding.
Great. And where we really like to set our products apart is the fact that we do really utilize real tech. And what we mean by that is, as Kristina mentioned, we are a robotic company first. Our parent company does develop these really advanced, for example, Walker, our humanoid robot. But what we do is we really utilize our engineers' expertise that trickles down, and we put that into our education products. And the way you can really see this is we analyze, specifics is within our servo motors. So our servo motors have a really high degree of torque, and I have one right here. You guys can see, probably blend in with my shirt a little bit, but our servo motors are the same technology within our education kits that you'll see within our humanoid and advanced robotic products. So this is just a brief example of how we leverage our expertise from our engineers on the forefront, really creating amazing technology into our education products. I do think this is important to note, especially when you get these in the hands of students. The fact that the students are working with this real tech, quote unquote, something that an engineer actually would utilize to create a humanoid robot is something really impressive, down to the student level. Excellent. So now we're going to kind of switch gears and we're going to look at our software. In particular, we have two different pieces of software. All of our software is free. You can, access it and look at it ahead of, purchasing any of our kits. But we have two different pieces of software I'll be touching on. First, I'll lead you guys through some of the specifics of our UKIT EDU app. And then from there, we'll touch on our browser-based programming environment, UCode. So first, to call out a few specifics of our app. Our app does lead students through successful assembly of different robots utilizing these high quality 3D graphics. So these graphics are 360-degree manipulable. You can zoom in, zoom out to get a full picture of what you're building. So for the UKIT Beginner, we have 12 different actual models that students can pick from, or they can, of course, design their own. And then intermediate, we actually jump up to 15. For advanced, I'll touch on this a little bit later, but we actually have 38 different models that students can pick from through our different programming environment, UCode. The reason why this is a great differentiator for us is just the high quality aspect of our graphics. The students really enjoy going through this process. It really guides them very easily and also through a fun environment. So it's not just a set of instructions. It's not a collapsible foldable brochure the students are following along. It is an actual interaction where the students are guided step by step through a fun environment.
Rusty, can I jump in here for a moment?
Absolutely.
Just as a former elementary teacher, some things that I think are fantastic about this are you can see it tells you the number of steps in the top left. So right now they're on step 24 of 112. So that's a great way for students to follow along and find out where they are. You also have the part that they're using at that moment and how many pieces you need. So you need 8 of the green little pegs. And then down in the bottom, there's the little circle with the picture of the part on it. That's a whole inventory list. So if you have a materials manager or students are gathering pieces ahead of time, or you've got somebody just in charge of that, that's fantastic. And then the last thing I wanted to note is we don't have it expanded right now, but where the little question mark is on the right side If you expanded that, it would show you the picture of the part of the build you're working on right now. It's like right now they're working on the dinosaur head, and then it's going to switch to the body. And so they kind of know what their end goal is, and they have small little goals for each build. So it's not just one big massive build. They could like do the head, and then you could do something else if you needed to, and then come back. So I just think all of that is fantastic. Oh, and moving it all around, because sometimes not only does the zoom in, zoom out, is that a great feature, but sometimes, you know, like a cord will be plugged in and they'll animate it, but it's behind. So you can actually zoom it or move it around, and then you can see where it got plugged into. So I do like that.
Yeah, absolutely. The students love this environment, and it really makes this building process really fun.
Oh, and no language barriers, because we don't use any text. So that's awesome as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And so once the students have successfully built their robot, then the first environment, interaction environment they move into is a block coding environment. However, a key component that we want to touch on is our pose, record, play environment. This is another way where students can interact with the robots via a reverse coding methodology. So what this is students can actually physically manipulate, they can actually move their servo motor to specific positions with the intention of recording those movements and putting them back into their code, or also putting them into their teleoperation controls. So this is a great element, or great environment, I should say, for students that may be a little apprehensive of building logic structures utilizing sequencing or block coding interactions. They have the ability to literally get hands-on with their robot, move the servo shaft to exactly where they want it, record those movements, and then put them back into their code. So it's a great stepping stone for students that may be totally new, or students that are just trying to get a very precise action with their robot and don't want to go through that trial and error approach of creating a sequence, running it, and trying to change it step by step.
I was totally just looking for my golf club because I always have it on my desk, and I don't know where it is, so that I could show it.
I have one right here. So yeah, that would have been a great, I should have thought that beforehand, but what the students would really do is they would move it to a specific position, record that frame, move it to another position, and repeat that sequence a few times until they have an action. Once they play it back, then they can tailor that specific sequence to how they want it, make it very specific and very precise.
For sure. And I don't think we have a slide on this, but you guys can see at the top there, the action is highlighted. So that's what part of the coding we're under right now. If you go to control, that's the one where you get to create your own joystick. You can program your own joystick. Exactly. But what I really like for the golf club robot is you can do a slider. So then you can just slide across and swing the arm. So you get a couple different ways that you can make the robots move, and that kind of hits kids at different levels.
Absolutely. Great. So kind of transitioning and looking at our UKIT Advanced. For this specific kit, we use a browser-based programming environment. It's optimized to run in Google Chrome, and is a way that you can interact with your environment and interact with your robot, I should say, through a bunch of different interactions. And we'll touch on a few of those, which are really impressive because UCode is kind of a one-stop shop, so to speak, for interacting with the UKIT Advanced. The first thing I'll note here is that when you first log into UCode or pull up the website, you'll see we have a staging environment. This may look similar to Scratch in that you see we have UCode, which is our sprite featured in our staging window, and a blank space, drawers and blocks on the left side of the screen. So a differentiator here is that you can still program animations, games, etc. You can interact with your sprite in all different ways. However, you can also interact with external hardware. So that means that you can have your sprite interact with your robot interact with your sprite, and vice versa. So this is kind of just the first element that I always like to touch on. So it's not just a, animation, coding environment. It's a way that you can interact with animations also while interacting with your external hardware.
Okay, but to build on that, Rusty,
Yeah,
we do on our website, you guys, we have a lot of UCode lessons that are up there. So if for some reason you needed to throw in a lesson and you don't have our kits, you could still use those lessons and still use the staging environment.
Absolutely. And as mentioned previously, UCode is free, just like all of our software. So feel free, pull it up, play with it, see if it's right for you. There's a lot you can do with it without the hardware as well.
Absolutely.
Another way that you can interact with UCode is through a dual programming environment. So this is a really great tool where the students can actually drag all of the blocks to the coding space, which instantly converts into C++. So this is great because we do utilize an Arduino compatible microcontroller. So the students can assemble their logic structures utilizing blocks while viewing them in C++. From there, they can either upload that code through UCode to the robot to run, or they can also export that to the Arduino IDE, modify any of the C++ in the Arduino IDE, and still upload it to the robot. So it's a way that you get kind of a, another way that you can interact with your robot and your hardware while also kind of keeping it simple up front, but kind of scaling, infinitely by also interacting with that Arduino IDE. Great. So a third level of interaction that we like to touch on is our virtual programming environment. So this is also where you can find all of your 3D build instructions similar to the UKIT EDU app. As mentioned previously, we do have 38 different build instructions here. However, we also feature 6 different virtual robot environments. So this environment is a way where students can actually interact with those 3D models, those actual robots that are in the 3D space. So you'll see the center of the screen, we have our fan robot featured, but we also have the robotic arm. We have a vehicle robot that goes through a maze. We have a cargo robot that's able to actually interact through different environments, completing different goals, a sonar robot, as well as a greenhouse robot. So this is a great way for students to kind of test out and program these robots in this virtual space, prior to interacting with the external hardware, or, just interacting just in this virtual space as well. So this is a really fun way to get students kind of excited about it through a very quick interaction with the environments.
And I think something important to note, we do have some lessons around some of these robots, but do know that they come with little challenges. So I know you can't see it on the screen right now because you're in the coding portion, but once those blocks are gone, there's a little challenge up in the top left for the students, and it'll I don't remember, does it check it off or change color once they've completed it? So
yeah, exactly. So for the cargo robot, there's actually 6 different challenges that you can complete. So these are 6 totally different challenges that use different sensors on the robot itself. So yeah, not just 1 or 2, you have 6 actual challenges within this one environment, which is really cool.
So again, a whole nother feature that you can use with or without the kits.
Yep. And lastly, and what I always think is the most exciting, and I'm definitely biased towards this interaction, is we have a full AI integration through the use of our AI extensions. So this is a lot of fun. This is something you can utilize with the hardware or, without the hardware, just utilizing your device. But we have the ability to plug in machine learning model making. We also have the ability to plug in pose, drawing, and image recognition tools into your programs. So this is a really, really exciting and innovative way for students to get literally hands-on with AI in a very practical manner. And the really fun extension here is you can also interact with your hardware, with your robots. So you can say, when your machine learning model, which you built, recognizes a red ball, then it's going to pick up that red ball with its, with the robotic hand. Or if it recognizes a yellow ball, it's going to pick up the yellow ball, etc. Really fun stuff here.
And again, we have lessons on our website that go over some of these features. So it'll walk you through the lessons were written for students. So they should be pretty easy to follow along with.
Great.
All right, our last little part, we're going to talk to you about the curriculum that ties specifically into our UKITs. You can see it's all color coded there, just like our kits are color coded. Now, these are within certain grade ranges because those are the standards that we hit. So the beginner, which is on the left, touches on grades 3 through 5. The intermediate touches on grades 3 through 8, and the advanced touches on grades 6 through 8. But do know those are just recommendations for the curriculum. You know your students best. You can take these kits down depending on how their little hands would do with the pegs, or you can take these kits up. We are not talking about the circuitry guide today, but we do have a circuitry guide that goes with that advanced kit that, in my opinion, is more advanced, probably middle school up to high school. So we do know that you can take them down or up depending on your students and what your objectives are.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so with each kit, you get at least 3 guides. So you've got 3 of those beginner guides. We're doing the golf club robot, which is a lot of fun, a robot for rescue, which is the dinosaur, and a robot for saving wildlife, which is the robotic arm or hand, grabber. It's the grabber in that one, right? I never remember which one. Yeah. So you can see there, you've got about 2 to 3, up to almost 4 weeks of curriculum if you did it every day. And then for intermediate, you've got 4 guides right now. The bottom 2 are being combined into one because they use the same build, touch on the same standards. But again, you've still got 3 to 4 weeks there on curriculum. We do weather with the windshield wiper robot that goes up and down. Excuse me. A robot for the senses uses MyBot, which is like a little alarm clock. That's a lot of fun. And then the other 2 use the trolley. So you get that vehicle action of driving it around. Oh, and there's MyBot right there. He's a lot of fun. Yeah, you learn all about your 5 senses and tie it back to robots. And then our 3 intermediate guides are A Bot Above the Tide is about the sonar radar, so detecting water levels. A Helping Hand uses the robotic arm and talks about prosthetics. And then Orbot uses our transforming robot, which is our most advanced robot using most of those 16 servos. And now here you've got 3 to 4, maybe even up to 5 weeks of curriculum, depending on how often you do it. But I know these kind of seem bulky and big, and if you're not doing a whole robotics unit, right, it's a lot. You can pull out activities from all of these lessons. The lessons are written in the 5E format. So you can pull out and just pull out the engage activities or the building activities and kind of create your own from those guides as well, if you don't have that big amount of time to set aside for this.
Great.
And along with our big curriculum, our big STEM curriculum, we also have camp or after school curriculum. It is being rebranded, so pretty soon it will be called Beyond the Classroom curriculum. This was our virtual camp curriculum that we used during the pandemic. And so we've got 3 for beginner, 3 for intermediate, super easy in, 10 hours a piece, all focused on the engineering design process. The students get to focus on presentations and creating their own builds. And so just a lot of fun and takes it a different way than the STEM guides do. And then the Spark starters are just activity prompts. So you've got 20 cards that you can just put out with a kit and let kids run with it and see what they can come up with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and something to mention, the Spark starters are student facing. So it is intended, just as Kristina mentioned, to drop off with the students and have the students kind of figure out how they would solve the prompt. In addition to the Beyond the Classroom curriculum for, that is teacher facing, as mentioned on the slide, we do have student facing PowerPoint. So it's kind of everything an educator would need to utilize it, and get up and running as quickly as possible.
And that's a perfect point I didn't say. Our STEM guides come with, they're interactive. All of our guides are interactive that teachers can click through, but also they come with notebooks, interactive notebooks through Google Slides. So those are also created for you already. So any videos we talk about or text or anything we try to link to is also within the guide or the notebook for you and the students.
Great. Great. And if you're interested, it looks like I might have switched images on this slide. So my apologies. I saw Kristina was quiet there.
That's okay. I'll use this image. So if you're interested in looking at samples of any of our curriculum to try to determine if you want to move forward with our stuff, where it says, hi, Russell, it would say log in register. So you would just click register, create an account, and you can access all of our sample stuff for free. Or you're welcome to reach out to Rusty and I, and we can help talk you through it or show you whatever you'd like to see. We are here to help as needed.
And this is where I kind of switched the images. So refer back to what Kristina said for the previous slide. This is what you'll see in terms of creating curriculum. But also, if you'd like any sort of implementation support, we do offer full in-person and virtual training options. Our goal here is to really help support educators along the way. Kristina and I are both former educators. We know what it takes to bring innovation into the classroom. We have educator goals, in the back of our minds at all time when we create all of our resources. And we personally just love working with educators to ensure success. So please, visit our website, which will look like this if I back up the slide. This is where we're prompting you to. But we have a full list of what we offer in terms of professional services. And then again, you can always reach out to us and we can always tailor something specific to the needs of your site.
That's perfect. I was just going to add that in. We are happy to do curriculum focused trainings or product focused trainings or a mix of both. But I also want to mention, I didn't think about putting them in here. So we've got a group, we're on year 2 now of our TAP teachers. It's been a long day already. So our teacher ambassador program, we are in our second group just starting here in the next month. And so if you ever want to talk to a teacher about how they're implementing or how they're using our kits, just let us know and we'll get you in touch with one of those teachers. We have a fantastic group of ones that were with us last year and some that are moving on and joining us this year. And so we've got a large group we can pull from if you need to reach out or want to talk to any of them.
Absolutely. And we have such a great cohort. We have such an awesome network of teachers that are really, challenging, their students with just innovative ways to utilize robotics in the classroom. So we're very proud of the TAP instructors that we have. So please don't hesitate if you want us to connect you with any teacher utilizing the KIT in the classroom. We have a resource that we can connect you with.
For sure.
Great. So I guess that kind of wraps up this brief recorded webinar. We are returning next month, August 10th, for a live webinar. So we want everyone to mark your calendars. Because we're going to be taking questions and want a interactive environment for a live webinar. The topic of that webinar will be setting up a successful robotics program. So for all those educators that will be going back to school for the fall and are thinking about how should I do this? What kind of strategies should I be thinking about? This is the webinar for you. So please join us. Again, mark your calendars, August 10th, 2 p.m. Pacific time, 5 p.m. Eastern time.
Yes. And if you're lucky, and if we're lucky, we'll have some TAP teachers joining us there.
Absolutely.
All right. This has been fun, guys. We hope that you've learned a little bit more about UBTECH and you can kind of see how we differentiate from those that we compete with in the classroom. But just know that we support coding and robotics in any way. So anything that you're getting out to your students to give them that leg up when they get out into the real world, kudos to you if you do that, regardless of what you use.
Absolutely. Great. Well, thanks everyone, and look forward to see you guys live next month.
See you next month.